87 Constitution, it's very clear, it's only a judge. And kailangan may personal
Knowledge.
examination.
Yeah, personal examination.
So, if you look at the ICC comprehensively and of course Article 59, ang keyword dyan is complementarity. Dapat nagko-complement yung dalawa. So, if you look at UK, Canada, South Korea, for example, Mr. President, Argentina, Paraguay, South Africa, all of them have provisions, whether it's arrest to extradition or whether it's surrender, it gives the individual being arrested an opportunity to run to their local courts.
Majority Leader.
Maraming salamat, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution number 343. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration of 343 is in order.
Thank you, Mr. President. This may I ask the Secretary to read the title of the measure.
The Secretary will read the title of the measure without prejudice to inserting into the records the text of the said resolution.
Resolution urging the executive branch to establish a national contingency framework and to develop and submit within 15 days a comprehensive national contingency plan that will enable the Philippines to anticipate, prepare for, respond to, and recover from major domestic international crises through a whole government and whole nation approach.
Thank you, Mr. President. May we recognize a distinguished minority floor leader, the principal sponsor of the measure, to sponsor this particular resolution.
The Minority Leader, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Sir President, sabi po sa Matthew 7:25, the rain shall fall down, the streams or rivers shall rise up, the wind shall blow and it will beat against the house, but the house will stand because it is built in good foundation. So sa pagbati ko sa ating Senate President, Majority Leader at ating colleagues ngayong hapon na to, I'd like to emphasize the first thing na ang pundasyon ng isang bansa, ng isang bayan, ng isang senado, ng isang pamilya o ang pundasyon ng mga Pilipino ay napakahalaga. Nasusubukan ang ating pundasyon pagka meron pong kalamidad o sakuna. So ang ginamit po sa Biblia ay yung pag-ulan, pagbaha, paghangin. We are not a stranger to crisis, whether it's the oil shock of the 70s, whether it's Japanese time, Spanish time, the American Commonwealth, or let's talk about recent history, at least for those of us who were born or were already in government at that time. If you remember, Mr. President, in 1997, nung tumama yung Asian crisis, marami sa atin mga bangko at real estate companies ay may mga practices na magaganda at kumikita, pero nung tumama po itong crisis na to, talagang akala natin hindi na makakabangon. But most, if not all, almost all of them, especially our banks, learned from that experience. That's why isa sa pinakamatitibay ang ating banking industry. We have some of the best banks. No, it's smaller in size compared to, of course, neighbor natin ang China, Japan, India. No, of course, the Western countries. Real estate, ganun din po. After the 97 crisis, natuto, di ba? Ang Hong Kong po tinamaan ng SARS. So nung tinamaan ng SARS, nung dumating yung COVID, hindi lang sila mas maraming laboratories, pero mas madali nilang na pinairal ang kanilang mga contingency plans. Ang Thailand naman ay isa sa pinakamasama ang tama nung bago po ang AIDS pandemic. So, aside from beefing up their research, their hospitals, their information drive, nung tumama din ang pandemic, mas handa din ang Thailand. Unfortunately, for example, for our tourism industry, during the pandemic, I think was Bayanihan 2, no? We tried to put money for infrastructure kasi ang Vietnam pala, ang Thailand, ang Hong Kong, Several countries tahimik lang during the pandemic, pero para mabigyan ng trabaho ang kanilang mga constituents at the same time para ihanda pag nag-open na sila, ay slowly pala ay pinuput in place yung infrastructure. So of course, ginagawa ngayon ang subway, nandiyan po yung Bulacan Airport, tuloy-tuloy po ang pagpapaganda ng airport sa Clark. I'm hoping sa kulit po ng ating majority leader, I think 10 years niya nang kinukulit or more yung bukid nun, yung mga regional airports. I still remember the time when SP Soto was also mentioning the former grandeur of the Soto Hospital in Cebu. And all of us experienced nung napakaganda in terms of service ang PGH. Pero grabe ang pila at kulang talaga sa equipment. And now if you look at both hospitals, Vicente Soto in Cebu and the PGH, napakaganda. Part of the reason of this is because pag crisis, we learn to work together. So yes, there are so many things that drive us apart. Ang politics ngayon napakainit. Pero kailangan natin, if there are two words that I want to leave or two concepts today after this sponsorship is one, consensus. Pag sobrang bigat ng problema or maaring sobrang bigat na harapin. So let me put that in focus. Kung matapos kagad in the next few days ang problema ng gera ng Iran, US, Israel at pilit na apektado yung buong region at buong mundo dahil we are now a global village and we now see na intricate masyado yung connection ng mga ekonomiya natin. No? So yung relationship for example ng fertilizer sa natural gas, di ba? So yung presyo ng fertilizer tumataas din. Japan has nuclear power but still they import 90%, di ba, of their energy needs or yung sa oil. No, I don't think I'm precise with that statistic but just to give us an idea that sabi kasi dati pagka sinipon ng Amerika, nagkakasakit yung buong mundo, di ba? So nakita natin ngayon, di ba? Pagka inubo ang Middle East, nagkakahika ang buong mundo, no? And if it ends soon, then I think except for the loss of lives na hindi naman natin maibabalik, di ba? In terms of yung economic, everyone can put the pieces back together, di ba? Pero pag tumagal to, lalo, Mr. President, if it goes more than 1 month, and if all sides continue to hit critical infrastructure, including oil depots and refineries, also kung hindi mabubuksan yung mga rota kung saan po pwedeng ma-deliver by ship yung mga oil, magsaspiral po ang maraming mga ekonomiya. But ito po ang problema. Hindi po madali magtipid sa oil or let's say sa sasakyan, 4-day week, etc. But for example po, no, madaling sabihin sa mga school, huy, magtipid kayo. At let's say mag-online na lang tayo. Pero hindi po lahat ng bata may internet eh. Hindi lahat po may tablet eh, di ba? At iba pa rin yung face-to-face learning. Madaling sabihin sa mga mall, halimbawa, magbawas kayo ng 2 oras. Pero apektado din po ang ekonomiya, apektado din po ang sales, baka may mawalan din ng trabaho doon, di ba? So my point, Mr. President, it's like clockwork. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin, eto lang ang sira, kaya umaandar pa yung relo. Pag may tinamaan sa makina ng relo, the whole mechanism of telling time gets affected. And that is the spirit of this resolution. To call on the executive, dahil sila naman po ang tinalaga ng ating konstitusyon, to build a consensus with the private sector, with the local governments. To be fair, they are doing that. Nag-announce kagad sila ng mga measures. I think this afternoon yung mga mayors committee ni dating Senador at Secretary Ralph Recto, Executive Secretary, about yung ibibigay na ayuda or subsidy sa ating pong mga jeep at tricycle. But we were discussing in the lounge with Senator Ontiveros. He was saying nga na sa Sa Germany, no? Sinubsidize nila yung mga mass transportation. Para nga hindi lang masigurado na kaya ng mga commuters, lalo pag sila'y manggagawa, senior citizens, estudyante, but also to dissuade people from their private vehicles, no? So, yun po ang nakikita kong kulang. It hasn't reached a point na consensus. So I said two concepts. One is consensus. The second concept is alignment. I've learned in my Christian life, it's not enough to do good. It's not enough to read the Bible and try to act in accordance with the Bible. You have to continually ask God, where do you want us to be? And then to align. Diba? Kasi if it's good to put up a pharmacy, it's also good to put up a farm. Pero sinasabi ng Diyos, wala nang pagkain, hindi nyo ma-import, put up a farm. You have to align. So napakaraming magagandang panukala ngayon. But is it aligned with the national government, the local government, and the private sector? So yes, Mr. President, sa resolution na to, 15 days lang po nilagay natin. It's because in 15 days, we would know if the crisis is getting bigger or kung wala na. So I don't think there's a problem that we expect the worst or prepare for the worst. Kung hindi, nandyan yung contingency plan. Lastly, Mr. President, let's not miss opportunities. Ang lahat ng crisis, may winners, may losers. Ang problema, minsan big winner, minsan big loser. And ang problema, Mr. President, usually ang loser is yung mahirap. So mahirap na tao, mahirap na municipality, maliliit na businesses. Usually, yun ang talo kasi medyo talikamay nila eh. Pero dun po sa mas malalim ang bulsa, nakikita nila yung opportunities eh, di ba? So, for example, kung lahat ng pera mo nasa stock market bumagsak, wala ka ng choice kung hindi hintayin na lang. Or i-withdraw or ibenta mo, lugi ka na. Pero yung sobrang lalim ng bulsa, pagbaksak, time to buy. And then gaganda na naman. So, there are things that will divide us. For example, nuclear power. Some of us believe in it, some don't. But for example, electric vehicles. No? Parating sinasabi, electric vehicles kasi gas-led din naman yung mga power plants natin. But that's not always true. No? So the point, Mr. President, is this is to prepare us not only for the challenges, but also for the opportunities. And although there has been Supreme Court decision saying na hindi pwede yung executive legislative, meaning may gagawin yung executive na actual body and then may member ang executive. But I think if it's consensus building, kung sino man yung mga chairman natin na critical sa nangyayari, makakatulong na magsama-sama. And lastly, Mr. President, as I close and as I pray that God will show us the opportunity, show us the challenges, strengthen us, help us to have a little bit, kung hindi man total, a little bit of political ceasefire at mag-focus muna sa maaring malalaking problema. May I ask that as a gesture with your permission that all members become authors of this resolution. And of course, if there are any amendments, whether to style or substance, it is by no means a perfectly crafted resolution. Thank you, Mr. President, and I submit to the direction that the majority leader wants regarding the resolution.
Well, I have been browsing through it, and I saw that there are 23. You are the principal author, but there are 22 other co-authors. I can be made a co-sponsor, the lone co-sponsor.
That would be an honor, Mr.
Because I'm
President.
the only one who did not sign because I was late. I was not able to read it before you filed it.
Well, you're only late once. I'm late all the time, Mr. President. So it will be an honor if you will be the principal sponsor.
I will be honored if I am made a co-sponsor of the measure. And all the senators listed as co-authors remain as co-authors. Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We have another member who wishes to also co-sponsor the measure. May we recognize Senator Joel Villanueva, Mr. President.
May I be recognized, Mr. President?
Senator Joel Villanueva is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. distinguished colleagues, Mr. President, we rise to co-sponsor this important resolution urging the executive branch to establish a national contingency framework and plan that will allow our government to better anticipate, prepare for, and respond to major domestic and international crises. Recent global developments, particularly the ongoing tensions in the Middle East, remind us, Mr. President, that in today's interconnected world, crises rarely remain confined in one region. They ripple outward through energy markets, supply chains, and labor markets, eventually affecting the daily lives of ordinary citizens. For the Philippines, the implications are immediate and significant. We import the vast majority of our petroleum requirements, making us highly vulnerable to global oil price volatility. And at the same time, millions of Filipinos live and work overseas, many of them in the Middle East. In moments of geopolitical uncertainty, the safety of our overseas Filipino workers and the stability of our economy become closely intertwined. This is why preparedness must be both strategic and people-centered, as mentioned a while ago by our Minority Leader, Senator Alan Cayetano. A national contingency framework must ensure that when global shocks occur, whether from conflict, energy disruptions, or economic instability, the burden does not fall disproportionately on those who can least afford it. Our farmers, fisher folks, transport workers, minimum wage earners, and vulnerable households. In anticipation of extraordinary oil volatility, this representation filed Senate Bill number 1922, which seeks the temporary suspension of fuel excise taxes during periods of severe global price spikes. Such time-bound and clearly defined adjustments may serve as a pressure valve to moderate inflation and cushion the impact on ordinary Filipino families. Mr. President, kanina ho, nag-hearing na ang Senate Committee on Ways and Means headed by Senator Pia Cayetano. Kanina rin po, nagpapirma na po siya ng committee report. And we again commend our dear colleague. We also filed Senate Bill number 549 or the Pantawid Pangbangka program, which seeks to provide fuel assistance to our fisher folk, recognizing that rising fuel costs do not only affect transportation but also food production and food security. In previous Congresses, Mr. President, we likewise supported the Pantawid Pasada program, which helped provide targeted fuel subsidies to public utility drivers struggling with rising fuel prices. These measures are guided by a simple principle, Mr. President. Sa panahon po ng krisis, hindi sapat ang plano lamang. Kailangan may agarang tulong na mararamdaman ng ating mga kababayan, lalo na po yung pinaka-nangangailangan. Our experience during COVID-19 pandemic underscored the importance of swift and coordinated government action. Through the Bayanihan laws, Congress was able to mobilize emergency measures to protect our workers, sustain livelihoods, and assist Filipino families during one of the most difficult periods in our recent history. Nakita po natin kung gaano kahalaga ang mabilis, malinaw, at magkakaugnay na tugon ng pamahalaan sa gitna ng krisis. The challenge before us right now, Mr. President, is to ensure that the lessons of those difficult years translate into lasting institutional preparedness. Because crisis will come. The question is not whether they will arrive, but whether we will be ready when they do. Kaya ang tanong po, Ginoong Pangulo, handa po ba tayo kapag dumating ang susunod na krisis? And for these reasons, we echo the call of this resolution for the swift development of a comprehensive national contingency plan guided by a whole of government and whole of nation approach. Ang paghahanda po ngayon ang pinakamabisang panangga ng ating bansa para bukas. We express our full support for this resolution. Maraming salamat, Ginoong Pangulo, and may God bless us all.
Thank you, Senator Joel, Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you to our sponsors. No other members wish. For the record, the co-sponsorship speeches of Senator Robin Hood Padilla and Senator Jingo Estrada will just be inserted into the records, Mr. President. For the record.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President.
Sorry, Majority Leader.
Yes, sorry. Just for the record, the sponsorship speeches of Senator Robin Hood Padilla and Senator Jingo Estrada be placed and were inserted into the records, Mr. President.
So inserted.
Thank you. Mr. President, no member wishes to interpolate the measure. We move to close the period of interpolation.
Is there any
15
objection?
days.
Hearing none, the period of interpellations is closed.
Mr. President, I move to recognize the sponsor, Senator Alan Peter Compañero Cayetano, for his amendments, Mr. President. Move to open the period of
Is
amendments.
there any objection? Period of amendments is hereby opened.
Mr. President, upon consultation with the Senate President and the Majority Leader, sa page 3 po, we put 15 days, giving the national government leadership 15 days for a comprehensive national contingency plan. So on one hand, Mr. President, we did not put 60, 90 days kasi baka tapos na yung crisis o malalim na yung crisis or huling-huli na tayo if it takes that long. On the other hand, Mr. President, I do understand that it is easier to put certain contingencies quickly into action, but to put up one document where it's all together, publishable, understandable, something that can be communicated, is necessary, but it isn't that easy. So in consultation with the Majority Leader, Mr. President, we'll amend with the permission of the body, we'll amend, instead of submit within 15 days on line 25, submit as soon as possible.
We suggested that, Mr. President, also through coordination with Senator Kiko Pangilinan. He also asked that maybe instead of putting a fixed number, kung kailan kaya, whenever possible, as soon as possible, Mr. President. So there being no objection to the motion of the good
So
merit floor
it's in the
leader.
form of a motion,
Yes, Mr. President, we move to approve his
subject to style.
subject to style. His
An objection? Hearing none, motion is approved, subject to style.
Thank you. There
And,
being
and
no-
Mr. President, this is not without prejudice to the executive department coming out with memorandum circulars or directives case by case in certain, whether it's agriculture, whether it's transportation. But the intent of this is to have a comprehensive plan. Thank you, Mr. President. I think that's the only
Yep,
amendment.
that's it,
so
Mr.
far.
President. There be no other members who wish to propose amendments. We move to close the period of amendments, Mr. President.
An objection? Hearing none, period of amendments is closed.
Mr. President, I move to adopt proposed Senate Resolution number 343. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, Senate Resolution number 343 is hereby approved or adopted.
Congratulations are in order to the minorities headed by Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, which proposed this measure, and it's been offered by almost everyone in this chamber, Mr. President. So congratulations are in order. May we just know if, may I ask for a minute suspension? Mr.
1 minute suspension.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution number 307. I so move, Mr. President.
The consideration of Senate Resolution 307 is in order.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, may we recognize the sponsor, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, and to interpolate our distinguished colleague, Senator Panfilo, the Senate President Pro Tem, Panfilo Ping Lacson.
To sponsor the resolution, the Minority Leader, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, is recognized, and to interpolate the Senate President Pro Tempore, Senator Ping Lacson.
Thank you,
Mr.
Madam
President.
Senate President. It will be a privilege to answer questions from the very important Pro Temp VIP.
This is more of a manifestation of support rather than interpellation. However, Mr. President, with the permission of the distinguished minority leader, I would like to be clarified first on the definition of extraordinary rendition. How would you define in your own terms, extraordinary rendition? Medyo matapang lang po, natatapangan ako doon sa extraordinary rendition. At the proper time, maybe I can introduce some amendments to just soften the language used.
Actually, Mr. President, I had the same reaction when my staff showed me the draft because some of them have exposure in international law. So vis-a-vis ordinary rendition. So ordinarily, a local court issues the warrant, and then if there's an extradition request, then based on the extradition request, it's given to a local court. The local court will then issue its arrest warrant and then would allow the extradition. But for countries who allows extraordinary rendition, so some countries do not allow. For example, Venezuela, pero kinuha pa rin yung leader nila. So I think that was the intent to just emphasize that if it's not an extradition request, it will be a extraordinary rendition of arresting and what's the better word, of exporting or of extraditing a Filipino.
Yeah, I have a definition of extraordinary rendition. Refers to the transfer of a person, usually a suspected terrorist or criminal, from one country to another without formal legal procedures, often to a country where the person may be interrogated outside normal judicial safeguards. So it's quite strong, Mr. President.
Yes.
And if we're dealing with the ICC, I don't think the proper terms or any country that we have extradition treaty with, mukhang I think we should change the language from extraordinary rendition to another.
Yeah, just to explain, Mr. President, and then I have no objection to changing it. It is really used by defense lawyers, not only in the ICC, but other courts, when someone is taken from their country and brought to the international courts without first passing the local courts. But as you said, Mr. President, it's not only kasi may connotation by
Yes.
denotation. So I would be amendable to protect all Filipinos from extradition, but extradition in the general sense, not in the extradition defined in our law vis-a-vis. The complication here, Mr.
Why
President.
not just use rendition? Because rendition simply means handing over a suspect to another jurisdiction, whether it's another country or an international court. I remember, Mr. President, in the Anti-Terrorism Act which I sponsored, there's a provision there prohibiting extraordinary rendition because we are referring to a terrorist. Kasi ang connotation, pagka sinabing extraordinary rendition, parang kinindap ng CIA, tas dadalhin sa kanila para interrogate
Yes.
without going through the normal judicial processes.
Point is well taken, and I see. Mr. President, would the term extrajudicial rendition be acceptable? Because basically the point of the resolution is that kung sumama kusa yung in-extradite, no problem. Pero kung tingin niya dapat punta siya sa korte, hindi dapat extrajudicial, dapat may judicial process. So would
Correct.
extrajudicial rendition
As in the case of the former president.
I'm amendable to taking out that paragraph because I want to look at this prospectively. I think there will be some political color if we
Yes.
talk about what happened in the past. And besides, Mr. President, that case is with the Supreme Court. So the bottom line of this resolution is that if for whatever reason, a mistaken identity, sinasabi ng tao, hindi ako yan, sinasabi ng tao, he's innocent or wala tayong treaty doon, he can run to court before he is removed from the country. Yun lang naman po.
Thank you,
ang
Mr.
intention,
President. Maybe we can, we can use extrajudicial rendition. Because if the person arrested by the custodial state will not go through the local court, at least for authenticity. My next question, Mr. President, is: are you familiar with the Article 59 of the Rome Statute?
Yes, Mr. President.
It's very clear here, no?
In,
I'll just read for the record some of the salient provisions here. No?
kailangan domestic.
Number one, a state party which has received a request for provisional arrest or for arrest and surrender shall immediately take steps to arrest the person. That's a given. No? Number two, a person arrested shall be brought promptly before the competent judicial authority in the custodial state, which shall determine in accordance with the law of that state that the warrant applies to that person, the person has been arrested in accordance with the proper process, and the person's rights have been respected. No? Meron pa nga rito na the person arrested shall have the right to apply to the competent authority in the custodial state for interim release. Pwede pa nga mag-request ng interim release eh. But of course, pag ginrant yung interim release, the custodial state will have to inform the ICC or the International Court. So it's very clear even in the Rome Statute na hindi pwede yung basta pagka-aresto, diretso sa aeroplano para i-deliver.
Yes.
No? And it's the Rome Statute. It's
I agree with your interpretation, Mr. President. Not only as a senator but as the former chief PNP. Ang point ko lang kasi dito, Mr. President, in the previous constitutions, the Constitution allowed other authorities to issue warrant of arrest. But in the 87 Constitution, it's very clear, it's only a judge. And kailangan may personal
Knowledge.
examination.
yeah, personal examination.
So, if you look at the ICC comprehensively and of course Article 59, ang keyword dyan is complementarity eh. Dapat nagko-complement yung dalawa. So, if you look at UK, Canada, South Korea, for example, Mr. President, Argentina, Paraguay, South Africa, all of them have provisions, whether it's arrest to extradition or whether it's surrender, it gives the individual being arrested an opportunity to run to their local courts. So,
I agree. I completely agree, Mr. President, because it is an utter disrespect to the local court or local authorities to just, without passing through the normal judicial process here, at least for authentication, for verification, the person that has been issued the warrant of arrest will just be brought out of the country. So, but some legal experts are invoking RA 9851, yung sa Crimes Against Humanity. And mind you, Section 17, malinaw din po rito na hindi naman po mandatory. Hindi ito yung kailangan pagka nahuli, kailangan i-turn over. Kasi hindi po siya lang ginamit eh. In the interest of justice, the relevant Philippine authorities may dispense with the investigation or prosecution of a crime punishable under this act if another court or international tribunal is already conducting. That's another matter. Instead, the authorities may surrender or extradite suspected or accused persons in the Philippines to the appropriate international court, if any, or to another state pursuant to the not applicable here, no, the extradition, because we're not dealing here with the extradition. So hindi naman po mandatorily expressed, no, or hindi mandatory yung sinasabi ng 9851 na i-turn over.
Well, Mr. President, 2 points. One, in the Pangilinan versus Cayetano case, it was made very clear that
Who's that Cayetano, Mr. President?
I was Secretary of Foreign Affairs at that time. So my name was by the process of the Supreme Court. But actually yung Solgen naman po ang nag-file talaga ng legal arguments, Mr. President. And then, of course, it was Senator Kiko Pangilinan. So, of course, the main issue was whether or not the President can get out of a treaty without concurrence of the Senate. But meron pong discussion doon na sinasabi na ang treaty kailangan complies with the Constitution. So, any treaty, for example, Mr. President, that says that anyone can arrest anyone but hindi dadaan sa judge, that's unconstitutional. So if you look at all other countries, ine-emphasize nila yung constitution din nila. And if you look at the Rome Statute, wala namang conflict po eh. Sinasabi din ng Rome conflict nandun eh. Secondly, Mr. President, of course, we entered the Rome Statute and the ICC, we ratified it after we passed this law eh. So, meaning even assuming you can surrender someone, that doesn't mean that he cannot go to the judge and question whether... So for example, Mr. President, hinuli si Joel Villanueva pero sinabi si Win Gatchalian siya.
Yes.
I mean, it might be funny to us and we might know the difference between the two gentlemen. Minsan yung media nagkakamali. But what if you had actual twins, di ba? Si Alan Tan and Ping Tan, and ang hinuhuli si Alan, si Ping ang nahuli. Di ba? Shouldn't he have the opportunity to go before the court and say, we might have the same DNA, baka magkamukha kami, but that's not me, that's my brother. So this is the most simple case I can think of. And some people will say na hindi na kailangan to kasi umalis na tayo sa ICC. But remember, Mr. President, so far, no, ang sabi ng ICC, basta't yung period na may jurisdiction pa sila. So kung bigla tayong may nakitang mass grave dito at pinagbintangan yung ibang leader ng ibang insurgency, pwede na lang silang damputin. Or for example, sa Marawi, what if someone shows the ICC certain footages na hindi kompleto at pinalabas ay may binomba na eskwelahan or ospital at crimes against humanity to or war crimes to? Will we not allow our generals to go to our court muna? I mean, that's one reason the United States and China, Russia have not ratified or have not joined the ICC because nga of the wartime actions of their military. But in our context, Mr. President, recently, even just former Justice Secretary Aguirre was named dun sa co-conspirator. Ang lapit na ho sa presidente nun kasi alter ego na yon eh. So for example, no, and I hanga ako sa tao na to, no, but and there's no imputation of anything to him, but for example, Mr. President, Secretary Anyo is now our national security advisor, but he was DILG during Marawi. I cannot see a situation where the ICC wants to arrest him and bigla na lang natin siyang isasakay sa plano without him being allowed to go to court, no? Or to the Solgen to what do you call this, to make representations in our local court. So, dun papunta, Mr. President, yung aking thinking sa resolution na to.
Yes. You mentioned mistaken identity because of some lookalikes, ano? And you also mentioned Vitaliano Aguirre. And I have a staff member who looks like Vitaliano Aguirre. She's here.
Oo naman.
Mr. President, Vince Dizon is also here.
So, talagang totoo yung sinasabi nyo. Kailangan talaga dumaan sa local court para man lang ma-authenticate yung real identity ng person who is subject of a warrant of arrest. No? And are you also familiar with Article 89 of the Rome Statute?
Not so much with Article 89.
Dito
Mr.
po,
President.
ganun din, wala namang konflikto sa article kanina, sa 59, or what's that? Anyway, nakalagay dito, the court, meaning the International Court, may transmit a request for the arrest and surrender of a person together with the material supporting the request outlined in Article 91, that's another article, to any state on the territory of which that person may be found, and shall request the cooperation of that state in the arrest and surrender. Anyway, minention din dito na state parties shall, in accordance with the provisions of this part and the procedure under their national law. No? When the national law that is referred to here is 9851, which I mentioned earlier, as I mentioned earlier, hindi naman po mandatory yung...
Sir President, I agree with the gentleman, Senate President Pro Temp, and I think it falls upon the Supreme Court to come out with its rules. Yung isang reason po nagbunsad sa akin na i-draft tong resolution na to, nung in-announce ng ICC na meron silang tinatawag na secret warrant of arrest. And I understand, kasi nga if you're dealing with war crimes or with genocide, Mr. President, and you're talking about dictators that have billions of dollars and can hide all around the world, you don't want to give them advance notice. But on the other hand, Mr. President, if you look at our Constitution, the person has the right to see the warrant and to be informed of the charges. And my interpretation is a local judge has to see that. So for me, there's no conflict if the Supreme Court has certain rules regarding that. No? So meaning, halimbawa po Mr. President, pag dumating yung request dito, mapunta sa isang judge, he's not allowed to discuss it or announce it publicly until he issues the warrant of arrest and then an operation for the arrest. Ang point lang sa akin, Mr. President, before he is removed from this country, ma-redress niya pa rin yung sarili niya sa korte.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. And as I mentioned earlier, I fully support this Senate resolution, of course, subject to style,
Yes,
based
thank
on
you,
what
Mr.
we have agreed earlier. So that's all, Mr. President, and I will continue to support this resolution. Thank you very much.
I thank you, Mr. President, for that interpellation, and maybe we can look at the whereas clause that can be interpreted as political and not only subject to style but also in substance, so that this can be a bipartisan measure that will ensure the constitutional rights of all Filipinos. Thank you very much, Senator Lacson, for that interpellation.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and Madam President, and to our dear colleague. Senator Cayetano, our Minority Floor Leader, I just got a text message. There's just some proposed amendments. There are no longer any more interpellations, so maybe we can close the period of interpellation. And on Monday, I believe the Senate President would like to propose amendments together with Senator Lacson and Senator Kiko Pangilinan as well.
Yes.
So if it's all right, we can close the period of interpellation for
And
the
Mr.
moment.
President, our staff can also
Work together.
discuss so that we can consult everyone and reword it. I think it's a good day and a good opportunity to just clarify this. And may I just emphasize again, in the end, unless kasi we amend this Republic Act or come up with a new law, which will take time, it really falls, this is really a sense of the Senate. And I think one of the addresses will really be the Honorable Supreme Court. They did come out with rules for extradition. But I think there was a statement that it might not be applicable to rules of surrender under this RA. So maybe some clarity will come out of this. So again, thank you, Majority Leader, and to
Thank you.
our Madam Senate President.
So with that, Mr. President, Madam President, the status is that we are
After close,
after close.
may manifestation.
Monday pa tayo magko-close. Monday pa.
Yes, sa inter-
Interpellation, yes. With that, Mr. President, Senator Bam Aquino pala wants to interpellate still on Monday, if that's all right, sir. Minority Floor Leader. I just got the message. He's not here. He's out of town. So with that, Mr. President, we move to recognize first before we suspend consideration Senator Christopher Bongo.
The gentleman from Davao, Senator Bongo, is recognized to interpellate.
Mr. President, in relation to our effort to protect all Filipinos against extraordinary rendition, allow me to deliver a manifestation. Actually, it's not a interpellation.
To
Mr.
deliver a
President-
manifestation, the gentleman is recognized.
Mr. President, members of this august chamber, I rise to today to mark a date for many Filipinos will never be forgotten. Nagkataon rin po ngayong araw na ito, exactly March 11.
Yes, we just want to clear, Madam Sponsor. So my apologies to Senator Bongo not to how you say disturb his manifestation, but maybe it might be proper to suspend consideration first of the measure, and then he can proceed with his manifestation. His manifestation is like a privilege speech, I believe. So it's not. Is it a privilege speech, Mr.
No,
President?
it's related also to the topic being
On
discussed.
107. Okay, we can proceed, Madam President. My apologies. He can be part of the records of this particular discussion on resolution number 207. My apologies. You may go.
Please
Hindi stop.
proceed, Senator Go.
Go.
Thank you, Madam President. Members of this august chamber, I rise today to mark a date that for many Filipinos will never be forgotten. Nagkataon rin po, exactly today, 1 year na po, no? March 11, 2025. Last year, on this very same day, was one of the saddest days in our history. It was a day when emotions ran high across our country. A day when millions watched in disbelief as former President Rodrigo Duterte was taken and brought in The Hague. Nakakalungkot po na alalahanin ang mga nangyari sa ating mahal na dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte na nagsakripisyo at ibinigay ang lahat ng kanyang makakaya ayon sa batas, bunsod ng kanyang labis na pagmamahal sa ating mga kababayan, lalo na sa mga mahirap at ordinaryong Pilipino. Mr. President, for many of us, it was more than a headline. It was more than a political issue. It was a moment that stirred memories and deep questions about our history as Filipinos. For in that moment, we saw not just a former president, but a man who once carried the mandate of millions, a man who rose from his humble beginnings in Davao City and stood at the helm of this country. It is true, Mr. President, that there are moments that divide our opinions but unite our emotions. March 11 was one of those moments. Across homes, communities, and provinces, countless Filipino witnessed how someone they once entrusted with the highest office of the land was made to face prosecution and judgment far from his real home. Akalain ninyo, Mr. President, isang taon na pala ang lumipas. Ngunit parang kahapon lamang nangyari ang lahat sapagkat ngayong araw na to, hanggang ngayon po, ay ang kalungkutan at pangungulila ay nananatili pa rin sa puso ng marami nating mga kababayan. 1 year has passed, yet the emotions remain as vivid as ever. The pain, the questions, and the sense of loss are still felt by many Filipinos who remember that moment not merely as a political event, but as a deeply personal chapter in their lives. That is why, Mr. President, in times like this, we must pause and reflect on principles that go beyond personalities and politics. We must ensure that what happened to former President Duterte should never happen again to anyone. No Filipino, regardless of position, influence, or political affiliation, should ever feel that the legal processes meant to protect our people can be set aside or disregarded. Siguraduhin natin na hindi na maulit sa kahit sino man ang pagsasantabi ng mga legal na proseso. This issue is greater than any of us or any personality. what is at stake here is our sovereignty and judicial independence as a sovereign nation and the dignity of every Filipino. Kung ang isang dating pangulo ng ating bansa ay maaring tratuhin ng ganito, paano na lang po ang ordinaryong Pilipino? Nakakalungkot po, matanda na si Tatay Digong. In fact, yung picture na lumabas dyan na merong oxygen concentrator, totoo po yun. Panahon ng pandemya, bit-bit niya to parate kahit saan siya nag-travel. Alam naman natin na matapang siya at matatag siya, pero kitang-kita ko na rin ang kanyang iniinda. 71 years old na po siya ngayong March 28. At fragile na po siya. At maaaring 81 na po siya. 81 years old na po siya sa March 28. Kumbaga harmless at fragile na po si Tatay Digong. Hindi na siya dapat ipinilit ilayo sa bansa. Hirap na po siyang maglakad. Nakasungkod na nga po siya. Maski pagtali ng sariling sintas, hindi na niya maabot. Lahat naman tayo ay tumatanda. Lahat tayo ay may minamahal na lolo, lola at tatay at mga kaibigang may edad na. Dapat po ay alagaan na lang po sila rito. Ang sakit na makita na yung taong binigay ang lahat para sa atin, ngayon ay mag-isa sa isang kwarto sa banyagang bansa. Sana muling magkaisa ang mga Pilipino. Sana matuldukan na ang pagkawatak-watak nating mga Pilipino. Imbis na umunlad, bigla tayong umurong. OFWs nga, pinapauwi natin. Noong panahon ni dating Pangulong Duterte, yung iba nagre-raise po ng funds para pambigay po doon sa blood money, no? Na para mapauwi lang po yung ating mga kababayang OFWs. Yun po yung ginagawa namin noon, na ginagawan po ng paraan na makauwi dito yung mga kababayan nating Pilipino. Pero baliktad po ang nangyari kay Tatay Digong. Bakit natin isinuko ang sariling nating lahi? Pilipino rin po si Tatay Digong. Hindi dapat siya pinamimigay sa dayuhan. Mr. President, ang bawat Pilipino, mataas o mababa man ang katayuan sa buhay, saan man sa mundo, dapat may gobyernong masasandalan na hindi siya pababayaan. Former President man o hindi, karapatan yan, lalo na po pagdating sa kanyang kalusugan, kaligtasan at buhay. Mr. President, the world today is full of wars, bombings and mass killings. Walang kasiguraduhan ang bukas para sa lahat. We will never know what will happen tomorrow, and in times like this, let us take it as a call for Filipinos to come together. Let us stand as one, no matter our status, our color, or our political beliefs. Siguraduhin natin na ang bawat Pilipino, anuman ang kanyang estado, kulay at paniniwala, o kinabibilangan sa politika, ay protektado at nirerespeto po ng estado. And today, wherever history ultimately places our former President Duterte, one thing remains undeniable. He became a defining figure in the lives of millions of Filipinos. Finally, Mr. President, I humbly ask for everyone's prayers for former President Rodrigo Duterte, prayers for his health, his safety, and his well-being. May he be protected, guided, and keep strong as he faces the days ahead. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President, Madam President. Madam President, to allow Senator Bam to still pursue his interpellations and Senator Kiko on Monday, move to suspend consideration of the same.
Consideration of proposed Senate Resolution number 307 is suspended.
Thank you very much, Madam President. May I ask for a minute suspension, Mr. President?
Session is suspended.